Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Kelly. I'm one of the educators with Bywater Solutions, and today we are going to talk about the 1805 COHA upgrade coming to a COHA near you in the month of November, and we're going to focus on the oPAC and public service section. If there are any newcomers, all this will be fun information in the very beginning. If you have come to a few of these, I apologize, but I like to give all the information just in case we do have somebody who's just started. Melissa has sent out a couple notifications, so we're hoping to really get a lot of libraries to be able to attend these, as well as this is a great time for us to kind of communicate any resources and how to find those resources, as well as show up our new Bywater website. So I'm going to kick off by just talking about this page that I'm sharing right now. We did have a new Bywater website that has come up in the last few months. So if you haven't been to our website, please feel free to stop by. This is just the main landing page that you are going to be able to see, but something to highlight at the very bottom of that main page, you do have the COHA demo. The demo itself is on the newest version, 1805. So you are able to go ahead and get really excited about some of the features I'm showing today and give them a try on the demo. It's great to know that that demo refreshes every 6 hours. So if you go ahead and create your grandmother as a patron, she will disappear in six hours. So you don't have to worry about any information getting taken. So perfect. I also want to point out that this middle option, education, is where a lot of the resources that we provide for our partners will show up. So you have this education tab. We have a search within the education, so you could search a keyword, or you could search by category. So as I hover over category, I have COHA how-to, COHA materials, tutorial videos, COHA upgrades, COHA on demand, and COHA videos for patrons. So this allows you to see all the different areas that we do allow and give resources to within COHA. This COHA how-to will have a lot of the blog posts that the education does, those blog posts, as well as a lot of the Bywater other employees do them as well, as they have expertise in specific areas that we'd like to highlight those. So as you can see, we're right now viewing those how-tos, and a lot of the top ones will actually be 1805 related. We are starting to put on some new blog posts for 1805, highlighting those features or enhancements that we're talking about, as well as maybe including a video. We find that the ones that have a couple steps or a couple system preferences, that we want to make sure that you have all the information needed to jump in and get that new feature or enhancement. We also have the COHA upgrade page, which is a page that I'm going to highlight today, because in the process of doing this, we have so much information that we want to share with you. We have that webinar schedule, so any other webinars that are coming up that Melissa had sent out to the partners will be here. I think we've got a few left. What's today? Today's the 24th, so that's today. We have, I think we have one more. We have administration, which will be tomorrow at 11 o'clock. So we'll cover administration and reports in that upgrade webinar. If you were unable to see any of the earlier editions, we do have them all posted on our YouTube channel. So if you're not familiar, Bywater does have a YouTube channel. So you can bookmark that or RSS feed that, and any videos that we create, whether that's a blog post related video or one of these recorded sessions, they will populate on the YouTube. And then we also have this COHA upgrade note page. And it's good to let you know that I would say starting at least on 1605, we have a 1605 upgrade note page, 1611 upgrade note page. So if you wanted to look back at some of the other upgrade notes, you can feel free to do that. As I scroll down, you can see we have a link to the release notes. So I think in one of the earlier upgrade webinars, we noted that there were 12 features with 1805, 267 enhancements, and 360 bug fixes. So we don't have the time to show you all of that in our upgrade webinars, nor would we find a lot of it pertinent to some of our partners. However, please feel free to go to those release notes and see what's going on with the Koha community. We also have a link to the new Koha 1805 manual, as well as a link to the 1805 schema. As our blog posts for 1805 specific enhancements or features show up, they will live here as well as also in that Koha how-to. Then below that, we have recorded webinar sessions. So you can see we have the 2 What's New webinars and the previous oPAC one that I did also, a technical services webinar, an admin. We had a patrons insert yesterday, which hopefully doesn't affect my Wi-Fi now as I'm uploading it as we speak. Then, we'll skip over the Q&A. Then we actually list out a lot of the bug fixes or features here by module. Now we also have been populating your questions over the last, I don't know how many webinars we've done. Over the last 2 weeks, we've been populating those questions because either we answered them live, but we wanted to document those, or we were unable to answer them live because we need to do some research, or we had a partner who shared something during the webinar that we also wanted to share with you. So if you click over here, you would actually see any of the Q&A and all of the Q&A that we populated attached to the bug number associated within the Koha community. This is one of the, this merging patrons feature, which we won't talk about today, but one of our partners from Huntsville, she shared one of her reports because we talked about that merging patron feature did have a permission attached to it, an existing permission attached to it. So all we want to share as much information as we possibly can with you, our partners. And of course, if anything comes up that you have to start a ticket for, please do so. We encourage, that's what we're here for. So we encourage tickets. We also this year was one of the first upgrades that we publicly asked for early adopters to actually try 1805 before the majority of our partners went on. So I think we had about 7 or 8 Bywater partners that went on to the 1805 version about a month ago. And they have been joining us in these upgrade webinars and sharing their experiences and also helping with any questions. But also it's great to have those librarians actually using this feature, this version every day and actually having some feedback, as well as if they have to catch a bug fix, they're going to catch it before you guys get upgraded. So that's awesome. Okay, so I have Donna here today who is going to help with my questions. I do want to say you have 2 ways to ask a question within the Zoom. You have a little pop-up chat box as well as a Q&A box. The chat boxes, just make sure if you ask a question in that chat box to make sure it's going to all attendees and panelists so then everyone can see your question. And if it's in the Q&A box, it will go to everybody. Okay, perfect. Do you have any questions before we get started? Nope. Hi, Donna.
Hi, Kelly. I'm here.
I had a freak out. I'm like, can nobody hear me? This would be really weird. Okay, good.
No,
Yay, Donna's
see
here.
your screen. We can see your screen. We can hear you. We've got quite a few attendees. I'm monitoring the chat and the Q&A. So y'all put me to work, okay?
Yes, please put Donna to work. And put us both to work. We love to talk about this. We're really excited to share the 1805 features that are here. And we hope we can answer all your questions. Okay, great. So let us pop over to, Sorry, I know no one else can see this black bar, but I can. So we're going to go over to the actual Koha oPAC screen. Now my oPAC could look slightly different than yours. I think Donna styled this for us, our training demo site, to show everybody, which it's looking fabulous, Donna. Perfect. Now, one of the newer features within Koha is the ability to have a self-check-in module. Now, the self-check-in module is kind of attached to the oPAC because it's going to use the beginning part of that URL to set it up. Is there anybody out there that's using the self-checkout module within Koha? You can raise your hands. You can say, heck yeah, we love it. Let's go, Koha. Ooh, there we go. Good job. Yes. This is when Zoom will tell us what our participation is. So I want to keep everybody active. Okay, well, there is, if you aren't familiar, Koha does provide a self-checkout module that is also web-based, and you could just have a computer set up in your library and users could check out material. Well, people wanted a self-check-in module specifically, so patrons could just check in material. So we have two separate. Today we're going to talk about that self-check-in module. The self-checkout module has been in a couple Koha versions. I do believe there is a blog post on the self-checkout module, maybe a video. I'll have Donna do some digging because we can always share that if you have questions about that self-checkout module. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the self-check-in module. This would allow you to also set up a station at your library and have patrons to check in material. With Koha, of course, we love system preferences. So we will have to set up some system preferences to make sure that this is ready for us to set it up. Perfect, great. So let's pop over to my main page. Okay. I'm going to go over to my Koha administration, and then I'm going to do my self-check, if I'm going to spell right, self-check-in today. Oops, I missed in. Thank you, Donna. Donna has put that in the chat box if anybody else wants that self-checkout module information. So here I have this self-checkout check-in module. I'm going to have a tongue twister by the end of the day. And this shows me that there are 5 system preferences to set this up. We love to allow you to customize your Koha. So we have the first one is the self-check-in main user block, which allows you to use HTML to style and the look of your self-check-in screen. To use this, you would actually need to make sure that self-check-in module is enabled. So you would need to make sure that is enabled. This will not be enabled on your desktop, on your Koha client, unless you turn that on. There's a self-check-in timeout. So there is a point where you'll see that the user, your patron, could hit that finish button to actually kind of log themselves out. If they do not hit that finish button, you can have a timeout feature that will go back to reset that screen after so many seconds. Then you also have some CSS to also customize your self-check-in screen, as well as any JavaScript that you wanted to set up on your self-check-in screen. I have just the plain looking self-check-in module, so you can see what that looks like. So what you're going to do once you enable that, you're going to grab that back end of the URL that's provided in the system preference and attach it to your oPAC URL. So the oPAC URL comes before, then you attach that to the back. So you can see here's my beginning part of my URL, and then that's the back end. And I'll get to my 1805, because that's what my test server is called, Bywater Training 1805 self-check-in module. Now, just like the self-checkout module, you can have a specific user log in to this, and they would need permissions, and we'll talk about that right now. Once I have found, and maybe Donna can agree or disagree, I have found once I have logged into this one time, as soon as I open this browser for self-check-in, it will automatically log me in. I'm not asked to log in each time I go to this URL, it seems to stay on the self-check-in screen for here, which would mean that a user could walk right up to this screen itself and scan the item or enter its barcode to check it in. So you can see right here.
I found the same thing, Kelly, that it does retain that. So at the same time, you'll want to make sure that whatever user you log in with is one that has kind of restricted privileges for anything else.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And we'll talk about those staff permissions after this. Good point, Donna. Thank you. Just like with your oPAC, you have that black static bar. You have a help little button, which is great. You can have a little bit of information that helps your user if they're not sure what they're supposed to do at this screen. That will be a pop-up that they can use. So now we can go ahead and just scan an item to check in. Grab my item. I'm gonna hit that add button. And now it's going to populate that barcode right below. Now it hasn't checked in, it's kind of in holding mode because I could have that stack of library books that I need to do all of them at one time. So instead of hit add, then check in, add, then check in, this is gonna allow me to do almost like a batch check-in. So let me grab one more barcode so we can see that. Hit that add, and then I'm gonna go ahead and hit check-in. Now, hopefully I don't have any errors. Oh, I have no permission to access this page. It looked all so good, didn't it?
Kelly broke Koha.
Kelly broke it. It's all done. Let's go and try it again. Add. I'm using a different username today for my oPAC just to spice things up, Donna, and they must have got me confused. There we go. There we go. So it looks like I checked in one, and then it says not checked in. There was a problem, so please return this item. So this item might have not been actually checked out to me. So it's good for this to pop up to say, well, we're not sure about this. So we might want you to go see the library staff for assistance. After playing around with the self-check-in module, we discovered that holds are not being triggered in this self-check-in module. So nor are transfers. So we have created a bug for that. So we're hoping the Koha community can develop something that would allow libraries to use the self-check-in module, but still capture those holds, because we do not want double scanning. Right, Donna? She agrees. No double scanning. Okay, perfect. So what? What?
We do need double scanning.
No, we don't. Don't listen to Donna. Now, this is what I talked about, that timeout. If I don't hit that finish, it will actually hit that finish button for me and reset to the beginning, or I can hit finish, which will bring me right to the scan the item or enter its barcode. It's double scanning. Okay, so let's pop back over to the staff client, because I wanted to show you the permissions that are in a patron that we can see that would, if you wanted to create a patron just for that self-check-in module, you could do, and the permissions you would need to set up for them. Thanks, Heather. Heather's back for some more. Donna, we got to keep up our act. She's having a great time. Okay. I'm going to go to this very, very bad library patron who doesn't ever return anything. And we're going to go to the permissions, which we know is in the patron page over in this more button, set permissions. Now here at the very bottom, I love when it's at the bottom because it's easier to find than all in the middle, we have the self-check-in module. So if you were going to create a patron just to use this, you would mark that off, and it says log into the self-check-in module. Note, this permission prevents the patron from using any other oPAC functionality. So I can't use this patron and actually log into the oPAC and check things out or anything like that. And there's your self-checkout module option. So these are attached to a staff permission. Super librarians can also be used to log into the self-check-in module as well. Okay, are there any questions about the self-check-in module or permissions? Great, great. Okay. If you do, please feel free to pop your question into the Q&A or the chat box and be happy to help you. Okay, so I am now back to my oPAC and I'm logged in as a patron. So with 1711, I think it was, gosh, they all seem to meld in together. We always have that oPAC dashboard that kind of gives me like a welcome, tells me how many checkouts I have, a hold waiting, and how much I owe. Well, because I'm a good library patron just some of the time. I'm actually going to pop over to my account details. Goodness gracious, I'm like a hot mess over here doing all these. Let me stop 1 second and answer this question. Do you need to also tick the permissions of the self-checkout module allow self-check-ins? I'm going back over there. It must be another option in permissions that you are asking about, Christina?
Well, we have the self-check-in and the self-checkout, and you can have one turned on for this account for self-check-in. You don't have to have the self-checkout permission enabled also. You could, but you don't have to.
Perfect. Yes, right, Donna. I just noticed she was asking about self-checkout module for that. So yes, you could use one module without the other. You do not need to use them together. You don't have to use the same patron to use them as logins. These could be, they're separate. They have separate system preferences. They have separate staff permissions.
And Kelly, I'm just wondering if you've checked yet, because I know I haven't. With the new version, if I had self-check module permission currently in 1711, is it going to enable the self-check in 1805, or do we need to go in there and modify that? Have you checked that yet?
Oh, is it a default? Is the
right.
default turned on? It's not a default to have the self-check-in module turned on.
Okay, so if you have a current self-checkout patron that you use, you would need to go ahead, if you want to use that same one for self-check-in, to add that permission to that account.
Yep, absolutely. I feel like they've really made those separate, because a library may want to use one without the other and vice versa. But good question. Making our brains think today, making our brains think. Awesome. Okay, back over to the oPAC. There are a few things that the oPAC has now displaying. One of those features on the patron's account summary is the tab over on the left that says routing lists. Now, I'm not sure how many libraries are using the serials module. The serials module is, do you see that? That's so crazy. The serials module is actually allows you to, I'm gonna log back in. That's really weird. It logged me out as we were talking. Okay. Allows you to attach a patron to what's called a routing list within Koha. So it can alert a patron when the new title of a subscription has arrived. So if you have attached a patron to a routing list from the staff client, now the patron can actually see what routing list they're attached to from the oPAC. Prior to 1805, they could not. Some things to note about this is the ability to, there's not much permissions or functionality within the routing lists. It just shows me the titles that I am attached to. Something to note, I know a lot of libraries might use the routing list feature for a specific patron category. Say your faculty can actually be on part of a routing list, but your students cannot. If they are not part of a routing list, this will just still show, but there'll be nothing there. So really all this is going to do is allow me to access anything that I have been attached to, but I can't make any changes. I can't remove myself from this screen. So this was part of adding this to the patron summary. And if it did apply, it will still show that routing list, but it would show nothing.
Kelly, let me jump in real quick. Ed clarified for us. We think that Christina was asking about the system preference, because there is a system preference called allow self-check returns, and that does need to be enabled. By default, it is not going to be turned on, so you will need to go ahead and turn on that system preference for allow self-check returns.
Oh, this is not a permission. I apologize.
Not a permission, a system preference.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Check returns. We will have to find this out. I do not believe this is together with self-check-in, because this says allow patrons to return items through the web-based self-checkout system. And what 1805 is bringing is the self-check-in system, which is separate from the self-checkout. So we can find this out, but I don't think that this needs to be turned on to use the self-check-in module, because this is specific to say, it's a self-checkout, the self-checkout module. I will reconfirm, and I'll put that in the Q&A on that on our Bywater website. But I believe, again, they are two separate modules within Koha. You can see that this is part of the self-checkout preferences, not the self-check-in. So I don't believe you need to turn this on to actually use the self-check-in module. Yeah, Ed agrees. Ed's a genius as well, so he agrees with me. But I'm going to double check. Okay, perfect. So we have the ability to see the routing list if you are using routing lists within your system. I'm going to pop over to, let's see if I have anything in this Orion serial subscription. Another new feature that has, has come in is we can actually now see the publication date of the serial itself. Prior to 1805, there was a column for issue, received date, status, and note. Now we can have issue publication date, because sometimes I know when we receive serials at my library, maybe we didn't receive them all as efficiently as we could have, or the librarian that received them was on vacation. So then it would show that although this is the June issue, we didn't receive it until August, and that's confusing to your user. Now with 1711, we talked about that, configure columns, and how now we can see shelving location as its own column. So that this, just like that, is using that ability to configure columns within the oPAC specific to serials. So let me pop back over to the staff client and show you where that configure columns is and show you what functionality you have there. I'll go back to this main page, and then I'll go into administration. It is not a system preference, but it is found in the administration portion. I'm going to go way over here to the additional parameters, way over to the right, to the bottom, and you have configure columns. I want to say I never knew about these back in the day, so this is great. We have this oPAC tab. Now you can see I have oPAC holdings, which we can hide specific things. So right now on my test server, I have the serial enumeration hidden from a holdings table, as well as number of holds. But we also have this subscription table, and we can hide or not hide specific columns within the subscription table. So this is what we saw. We saw that issue, so serial sequence. We saw the published date, which is actually pulling from the subscription. And we have status and we have notes. So let's go ahead and unclick that planned date, which is actually the received date within the column. So I'm going to go ahead and refresh that. Some of the terminology is not, it does not clearly say what it is as from one process to the next. So now as I unhid the planned date, I now have the received date. So although this was a publication date of June 1st, it was received June 8th. So you can see that you could hide the received date because that might not be something you need to have displayed in your serial subscription, but now you can see you have the functionality there for you to be able to decide. Okay. We also have something really fun within the oPAC is we have the ability to tag with emojis on items. Is there any libraries out there using the tagging feature? The last time I had this webinar, there were some libraries that had it turned on, but it wasn't really being used. So I wonder if there's anybody in the room that is using the tagging feature. Currently, this was a good, yes, great. This was a development by one of our private schools that would like to have really maybe made this feature a little bit appealing to their students. Oh, let's go to this one. So if you are within a, if your tagging is turned on in the oPAC, you can have your patrons add tags, and those tags can be moderated through staff or not. And as they populate on your oPAC, you will have what's known as a tag cloud. Now, if you are not familiar with a tag cloud, you can see that there are tags here that have been placed on items within the catalog. A lot of them are kind of around the same size. Well, this one's a little bit bigger, which means the bigger the tags appear, the more times that that actually has been used in tagging. So if I click on something in my tag cloud that has that big smiley face, I can see that this was tagged 16 times. It really wasn't. I don't think this is pulling the right. It's pulling all other ones. There it is. Let's do that one. I can see all the times that that tag has been used. So I can see it's 10 days to a sharper memory, the Einstein factor. So as we think about using the tagging ability on your oPAC, there are some system preferences that are needed to be turned on, but I will show you that after I show you how fun it is to tag. You have the ability, so let's just type in, there are two different ways to tag. You can allow the user to tag from the results or the record itself. So if I have them both turned on. So if I did a search, I can see add tag here, and I could easily add the tag on this brief results. Or I could just allow my users to go into the full record and tag. This process is slightly different because there are no, you can type in a word, add that. And then you can, once you are done, I hit it twice, you can also do an emoji tag, which means on my computer, and I'm not sure about PCs, but I can right click and I can get to that emoji and a symbol. So then my emojis pop up. I can go ahead and put my emoji in there and hit add. Now that's from the brief results. I also have my tags set up to be moderated, so they're going to show up on the staff client prior to them being populated in the tag cloud. So once they have been approved, everyone can see the tags that have been created. That was a question we had. So yes, everyone sees the tags once they're moderated and approved. And I can also see the tags that I have put on from my account, and I can delete those tags that I've put on there. That was a question from another day. So let's go ahead and click into this circus family dog. So we tabbed from the brief results, and now we can have a different kind of look when we have tags here. I've add tags. I get a larger box, and then I actually get this smiley face, which leads me to the tags itself. So I can go ahead and add something, and I can do both an emoji and a word combined. Perfect. Great. So now let's go over to the staff client and look at the system preferences that are included within tagging, as well as when we go over to the tags pending approval. Oh, actually, let me go back. I apologize. We did get asked about seeing the tags on your account. So I'm going to go over to my patrons account. And there is a tab here that says tags, and it will actually show me all the tags that I have created. And you can see I've been furiously using this feature to test it out. At this point, I can delete any of these if I wanted to. Okay. So I'm going to go into my system preference and just type in tags. So for you to turn this feature on, there is no separation. There is no separation between emoji tags and word tags. So once you have this set to allow, words and emojis are allowed. So you would make sure that that was set to allow. If your library is already using tags, then the emojis will just show up with that little smiley face as I showed it. So, oops. As we talked about a minute ago, tags can be moderated within Koha. So I have this tag moderation, and if I have my system preference set to require that the tags submitted by patrons be reviewed by a staff member, these tags will show up as pending until they are approved. Or, yeah, I think they say pending. So let's go over and look at where those tags that need to be approved live. So on my staff client, I have this tags pending approval, and I can go ahead as a staff member and approve any of those tags that are here. Okay.
So people are really enjoying the tagging. And so Kimberly wants to know, how do patrons see all the tags that have been created?
Yep, so I talked about that tag cloud. So this is your tag cloud that's found underneath your main search. And that's where we started, where I showed you all the tags, where they got bigger, when they had more tags. So this is everybody's tags. These aren't just my specific ones.
And then I believe that Tag Cloud is actually a cron job that needs to be enabled. Is that correct? Or does it just, is there the process that runs? Because I know some libraries don't have that up there, that if they don't have tags turned on. So
right.
If you're looking at your system and you want to, this is something that you want to enable, of course, reach out to us and we're more than happy to walk you through the process of getting it all set up and running properly the way that you want it to be.
There's no cron job. This will turn on once you enable tags. Just like if you didn't have authorities, this wouldn't show up. If you didn't have the ability for patron to search your authorities, this would not. If you didn't have course reserves turned on in your Koha module, this wouldn't show up. So these, other than Bywater Solutions, these are triggered by the actual system preference. So once you turn on tags, this will populate and your tag cloud will start creating words and or emojis. This emoji process is already a blog post on our website. It talks about every system preference that's involved in tagging. And Donna, if you wouldn't mind sharing that blog post, Donna can put that in the chat box and you can go to town. But of course, if you need assistance, like Donna said, we'd be happy to help. Okay, I did want to pop over to the staff client. After I approve those, you can actually see those tags in the staff client as well as the oPAC. So as a staff member, I get to still see the emojis and have a lot of fun. Perfect. And everyone can go to the chat box, and Heather, one of our partners, actually uses tags, and she has shared her tag cloud, her link to her tag cloud from her oPAC. Thank you, Heather.
Okay, so now I need to go look up what Dandy Funk is, since that's popping out in her tag cloud as one of the biggest ones. Thanks, Heather. That's great.
Wow.
Yeah, let's not Google that in the webinar just in case.
No, I won't. I promise. I promise. Okay. This is a really, there are a few bug fixes that I wanted to talk about because I feel like they were so exciting when we rolled them out in, say, 1605 or 1705 or one of the 11s, and then maybe a bug happened and they weren't as used as before. However, once that bug fix happens, I kind of want to talk about it again because it's kind of cool. So I think in the 16s, the Koha 16s, we had the ability to embed HTML videos in our staff client and in our oPAC. So we could attach trailers of books to the oPAC for users using the 856U in our MARC records. However, soon after we rolled it out, there seemed to be some sort of snafu that happened. So I want to just take a moment to show that to you. This is a system preference that you would need to make sure you have turned on first. So we'll start over in the staff client, a little backwards to showing you the feature itself, but that's all right. I'm going to search HTML5 as a system preference, and I'm going to get to those 3 system preferences that are tied into allowing you to add videos, specifically YouTube videos, to your records. So first, you would need to make sure that HTML5 Media YouTube is enabled, or embedded, I guess it's called, embed or don't embed, as well as this tab showing the media player if you want to show it in the oPAC and the staff client, or not at all, or just in one or the other of oPAC or staff client. So I have that set up in the oPAC and staff client. So I'm going to show you one of my examples. So I'm going to go to Crazy Rich Asians, which I've read the book but haven't seen the movie. I really want to see the movie. I might now have to wait till video. Okay. So now that I've turned on that system preference, I have this Play Media tab because I have taken that YouTube link and added it to my 856U. So let's go ahead and look at my MARC preview. So you can see here, I have this YouTube link, and that is actually going to populate that YouTube video in my Play Media tab. So here I have a Play Media, and I can go ahead and start the trailer if I wanted. Same goes for, since I actually had that Play Media tab on the oPAC and staff, I'm going to open it up in the oPAC and show you again. This is that Play Media tab that will populate the trailer. Again, that would show up in my MARC view, just that YouTube YouTube URL. So something fun for your catalogers if they wanted to attach some trailers. If you have both the movie and the book, it would be a great feature, I think. Okay, now another bug fix that I'm so glad, this is not really a bug fix, it worked, but I think that this enhanced the process for staff. There is the ability, if you want to turn this system preference on, the ability to allow patrons to leave notes on items that they currently have checked out. And so that system preference is called Allow Checkout Notes. So as a patron, I'm logged into this oPAC, and I'm looking at my checkouts, and I have this feature of note. So I could say, title page missing. So as a patron, I can go ahead and submit a note to my library to maybe tell them this disc was scratched, or I didn't do all the Sharpies in there, or something. I didn't do it, I swear. Once I hit submit, this note actually is sent to the library and attached to the item. Now, when it's attached to the item, it's going to, when it's checked in, it will pop up, create a pop-up to tell that circulation associates that there is a note, and tell me the note as the circulation associate. I wear multiple hats. I'm the patron, I'm the circulation. Now, prior to this, that was it. That was really all that happened. Oh, no, actually, no, I apologize. The patron also got a message that said, you left a note. Now, because librarians, like you said, we want more, now, once you submit a note, this note will be emailed to the branch email itself to tell them, by the way, Kelly left a note on this book and it said this. So again, if I'm in that patron account on the oPAC, I have this note column and I can leave a note here. So broken spine, submitted note. I get a confirmation that that has been sent to the library. So let's go check in one of these items into the catalog, into Koha, and see what it looks like. And then I have a report from the actual 16. When we showed this a couple versions ago, we had a partner, maybe it was Ed, that shared a report that he created to capture these notes. Okay, I'm going to grab that barcode. I left a note on this Discovery of Witches. Oh, not you, Ed. Okay. Must have been George. I'm going to go ahead and submit. So I'm checking. Sorry, everybody.
You're just a hot mess, aren't you?
I was actually using this morning and playing around with it kind of early. So I was sitting in my kitchen in front of the stove, and my parents are with me right now, and that went off a few times, and my dad was like, what is going on? And I said, I probably should change it. It's kind of annoying, and yet I didn't, so it's still there. However, I apologize for the noise. This is my top one, so I have a patron note that says it right here that this title page is missing. So it does display to your staff. Now, we had a note about both email to library and a place on Koha main screen. This email will go to the branch library. I'm not sure what it means, a place on the Koha main screen. Maybe this is what you mean by when you check it in. If you don't have a branch email set, it will go to the system preference admin email. Yes, Ed. There is currently a bug. Maybe this is what you're asking about, Leslie. There is currently a bug asking for the note to display on the staff client, like the tags requesting modification, requesting approval, purchase suggestions. That is actually a bug in the community asking for it to show up there as well.
Yeah, that's what she was asking about, Kelly. Yep. She just updated that. Yeah,
perfect, perfect. So I'm going to go over to my patron. I'm going to see that she herself, oops, I clicked it too early. She herself got a checkout note saying that I added a note to this item. I actually remember I added two, so there are my notes. Then I can also show you, I created a report to show what did I save it under? Okay. There it is. I created a report called Checkout Note to show you what it looks like and that it's going to the library. So let me go ahead and hit run. And there's my, make this smaller. There you go. Okay, so this bottom one, it says that this was a checkout note. This is the actual note that the librarian will get. It tells me the book and it tells me the note and the book. This is the letter code. So after we show this, I'm going to pop over to notices because you can adjust what was created in this note if you wanted to. This actually is the branch email. So just in case you don't believe me, I'll go and show, but I made this my branch email, but you can see here's another branch email. So it's actually coming from the patron to the library. That's funny, I didn't notice that before. Hermione at Hogwarts. I'm sure that's a real valid email that I created. Okay, so that's where you will see it. Your branch email will get that note. So it will display, the patron will get the note that she left a note, the check-in person will get the note when the item is checked in, and the branch email will get the note as well. This SQL, yeah, I will put this in QA, Leslie. I'm not the report writer, but so you could make it a little bit more specific. I'm just showing everything in the message queue where this note is called checkout note, but I will share this in the Q&A. My fabulous report skills.
Yeah, both Almi and Leslie had that same question about that. Before you leave reports, I know we need to go look at the checkout note, but we had a question a minute ago about adding those trailers. Is there a report that they would be able to run to see which items have those trailers attached?
Well, you would have to attach the trailers yourself as you cataloged them. So if you feel like you have done that and you wanted to, I'm sure we could write a report. I actually think there might be a report already in the Koha wiki. We can look, and if we can't find one, we can certainly write one to show you what is found in your 856U. However, understand for any of those colleges that are using 856Us for online resources that you may get a lot of results. Wouldn't you think, Donna?
That's what I'm thinking. Christina had asked, and I just wanted to make sure we didn't lose her question. But since it does share the field with any other online links, it potentially could be a huge report. And I'm not sophisticated enough to be able to tell either through cataloging or through report writing how you'd be able to specify just those that are trailers as opposed to anything else. So it's something we could definitely take a look at, Christina. So if you are interested, definitely let us know. And we can put better report writers than both Kelly and my work trying to figure that one out.
Yeah. So yeah, it wouldn't, most records that you're going to catalog, you would physically have to add that YouTube trailer to. This would be something that your cataloger would have to do. It's not going to appear by itself. Let me look at the 856U again. Yeah, maybe it could be where you're looking for that. I'm not sure. But if that's something you're looking to, that certainly can, as Donna said, submit a ticket. Okay, perfect. So now I'm going to go over to this checkout notes because I want to say when I first saw this bug fix, I was super excited because this was something that we rolled out and it just kind of fell flat because there were people wanted a better way or a more efficient way or multiple ways to get this information to the staff versus just that check-in. So there is this notice called checkout note. So it's about halfway down. And when I first ran this message queue, the notice actually didn't contain the note itself. It just said they've left a note. So it's good to note that this issues.note from the schema is where it's being stored. So if you wanted the note to populate in the email to the library itself, it might be beneficial to add that issues.note to it. But again, if you wanted to manipulate this notice, that's perfectly possible to do, to customize it to what you want it to look like. If you wanted, it might be just nice to add more information. Okay. And then Heather, I think everyone can see that, but Heather did a keyword search in her oPAC and looked for YouTube and found some results. So should I do that and see what happens? There we go. I'm sure the trailer to Kelly's Orchard Adventure is fabulous. These are some peep diaries. That looks kind of scary. There we go. I think this is the one we showed in our 1611 webinar. So this might help that partner that asked the question. So thank you, Heather. Perfect, perfect. That seems to work. Okay, and then I had another question about the notice, I believe. What about the report to see all notes?
Yeah, so we'll post that on in the Q&A on the updates page.
What do you mean all notes?
The circ notes or the patron notes, I believe she was asking about, the checked out notes.
Yep, so this includes all of them. We don't have, we're a really small library. It's just Donna, myself, and Andrew together. We make this library. So this does show it. So yeah, we'll add this SQL to the Q&A. Perfect. And this is the, I don't think Donna shared this. This is the bug. This is the bug that we'll put, that talked about adding the check-in note to the staff main page of the staff clients that has been put in. And I think it's pretty far into the process of Q&A. Okay, so that kind of wraps up what I have for oPAC and public services in the 1805 version. Do I have any questions? You all have been so engaged, which I'm so happy for. And I apologize if we went back and forth, but I love the fact that you're asking questions.
And Kelly, I just looked at that bug, and it actually will be available. It'll be previewing in 1811. It's not being backported, but okay. It will come out in, it's been pushed to master for 1811.
I thought that it was close, but that's great. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Are there any other questions? Remember, this will be up on the website, hopefully by the end of the week, with the Q&A from the last couple of webinars. We've had quite a few in the last few days, so we'll get all that up there. And we are so glad that you have joined us and spent an hour of your time with us. So hopefully it was as effective as we hope it was. And thank you, Heather. It's fun. We have a good time. Oh, there's a question. I have a question. Is there already an update that will put a timeout timer on the oPAC itself, similar to the admin system preference self-checkout timer?
That's a really good question. I don't think there is.
I don't believe there is. So I'm assuming that you mean if a user logs in to your oPAC, maybe your public catalog oPAC, and wanting to know if that user is logged out. We'll have to find out about that, Christina. I don't believe there is, but I don't want to guess at this point, but we'll find out. Thank you. Perfect. Well, thank you everybody so much for coming. I appreciate your time. And yes, a logged in user. Yep, perfect. Yep. Okay, I'll find out for you, Christina. Oh, wait, maybe Ed has a bug for that. Am I still sharing my screen? There it is. Oh, it's kind of an old one. Christina, if you know about the the bugs in Koha community, I would encourage you to make a comment to hopefully get this moving along in the community. When librarians such as yourself make a comment on a bug, it goes a lot further. So go ahead and put some notes on there how important this would be to a library. And it's what Lizette is saying in the comments. It is a privacy issue. Yep. Thank you, Ed.
I just put that bug in channel for everyone to be able to see. So
that is, he just sent it to us. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've put that out there for everyone to take a look at, and go ahead and, please add your comments to that.
Yep. Yep. Perfect. Okay. Well, thanks, Donna. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.